Okay, we're going to talk about in this video how to switch your US stove 8500 model over from manual heat settings to thermostatic run system. It's very easy to switch this over, but there's one thing you need to know, and that is it is highly recommended that you run this stove for a season on the manual settings to where you become very familiar with the stove, the operation, the problems with moisture in the pellets, so on and so forth, and make it a lot easier for you, especially when it comes to setting your feed rates on your number 1 setting and your number 5 setting while your furnace is running and it's running off the thermostat. And we'll get into why that's important a little bit later on. What we're going to do right now is I'll show you where you hook the thermostat wires up to the stove. You're going to need for the thermostat a standard battery operated thermostat and a thermostat 2-wire going from your thermostat to the panel, the circuit board panel in the back of your stove. We're going to show you where that's at and where you hook those leads up to. Okay, we're at the back of the furnace right now, and right here you're looking at the circuit board that we're going to be dealing with. You can see this white wire here is our thermostat wire coming in to the furnace. We just got some extra coiled up in case we want to change something later on. You're going to follow this wire up, and these are the 2 points you want to hook your thermostat wires up to. They're labeled on the back side, which is right back here, which you can't see. You really got to stick your head in there to see it. It's called T-stat. T-S-T-A-T. In between these 2 leads right here is a little tiny black jumper. Now you don't see the black jumper here because you need to pull that black jumper off to enable the T-stat leads to work, to become effective. They will not work with that jumper on. We're going to show you the jumper here in just a little bit. It's very important that you save that jumper. So you're going to want to mount your thermostat on the wall where you care to mount it. We've got ours mounted right next to the primary furnace thermostat. Run the line down in and get your push terminals crimped on and pull your little black jumper, and then put these 2 leads on, and that will completely enable your thermostat operation. Now, when you pull that black jumper off, it's imperative that you save that black jumper. If you decide at some point to put this furnace back into manual operation mode for your heat settings, you have to put that black jumper back on. It's not necessary to disconnect the thermostat wires, but you have to put the jumper on to go to manual mode. So that's very important. And that's all that's required to hook this up to thermostat operation. Okay, now we're going to discuss the control panel operation utilizing the thermostat system. The way this thermostatic system operates is when the thermostat is not calling for heat, you will automatically go to setting number 1. It runs on setting number 1 all the time. You can adjust your heat settings on this furnace to put heat setting number 1 at any temp you want. If you want to run a pilot light, low temp, you can do that. If you want to, run it up 400 degrees or whatever, you can do that as well. And it will run on heat setting 1 blower fan going. When the thermostat calls for heat, it will automatically switch to the heat setting that you have dialed in. So I take, and right now with the outside air temp, we're running it at heat setting 4. Now as you can see, the dash is flashing. Once that tells you that it's in transit. When it calls for the heat, the furnace will ramp up to heat setting 4. The dash will become steady, and when the thermostat no longer calls for heat, the dash will start flashing, and your heat setting will stay on the stove. We got 4 set in. When it no longer calls for heat, the 4 will stay there. You don't have to touch it. It will automatically ramp down through the settings to number 1 automatically, but your number 4, if that's what you have it set on, is going to stay there, and your dash is going to continue to flash. Now, if the outside air temp, right now the outside air temp here is about 9 degrees above zero. Number 4 is more than enough to heat this home at that temp. If the temp falls down below zero or at zero, we'll probably raise it to heat setting number 5. And conversely, if it gets real warm outside, we might lower the heat setting down to number 2 as the thermostat temperature feed rate. Now, as discussed in one of our other videos, I've showed you how to set your heat settings up on this number 1 and number 5. And once again, you want to see what your number 1 heat setting is running at. Right now we're running it at 2.35 pounds. We're burning hardwood pellets today. You can raise that up if you want to lower your number 1 setting to a pilot light low temp. Then all you got to do is lower your temp. That's simple. Push on and you're back to your setting. Now, as you might have heard in there, our number 2 blower just kicked on because the thermostat's calling for heat. If we want to raise the number 5 setting, we can access it by pushing the 2 top arrows as previously explained. And you can change your setting to anything you want there. Push the on button and you're back to it. You're not going to change by changing your top setting or your bottom setting. You're not. These intermediate settings will float. You got to have your number 1 setting and your number 5 setting set as the temp levels, like I described earlier in the Operation and Tips video. Now, we've tried several different burn indicators. The newer ones out, we have not found a burn indicator to this point. We were using an older Rutland that worked real good. I haven't been able to find any of the newer ones that are accurate. They're way off. So what you want to get, once again, to set up your heat settings, get yourself a good laser thermometer gun. You're going to want one that goes up to 750 degrees Fahrenheit. And once again, ideally, you set your number 1 heat setting to where you shoot this on the door, and you should be somewhere around 400 degrees. 350, 400, number 1 heat setting, feed rate. Number 5 heat setting, feed rate, 650 degrees, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. Depends on how your system is set up. Refer back to the operational tips and fine tuning to get that set up. If you are having problems with the operation of your stove, shutting down, not giving you the temps, you've got other issues you need to resolve before you go to this thermostatic setup. This furnace runs like a clock, but when you change fuels, you've got to change your feed rates on your number 1 and your number 5 settings within those parameters. If you get your heat setting set too high on number 5 and it keeps bumping that thermocouple, you're going to have problems with your stove down the road. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you understand the operation of this furnace completely and are comfortable with it before you go to the thermostatic operation.